What's up with my APA family? It's your boy L, APA, coming through with another video. You guys already know what we're here for, man. The reoffenders, the youngsters, trying to keep them out the system, and the other one, obviously, stay out the system, right? Keep them from going back. And you know, as I always say as well, as you can tell by that caption, that thumbnail, that good old uña, that nail, right? Cat and mouse game, fishing in the hole with a cop, with a CO, and I'm gonna take you all the way back to Pleasant Valley. This is around the time where, you know, I was a New Corcoran. I was a New Corcoran for a handful of years, and for those of you that don't know New Corcoran, it's CSATF, California Substance Abuse Treatment Facility. You know, the lower yards do have a substance abuse program. But on C yard, it's the 180, it's the level 4. They didn't have no substance abuse programs or nothing like that. Honestly, it was one of those yards where they just needed space for level 4 dudes. You know, so I was there, man. We're at war with the Norteños at the time. And for those of you that may be familiar with this story, always know that if I do reiterate a story based on this being my second channel, just know that I'm always gonna add things that I didn't add before. The story don't change. Just gonna add things that I didn't add before because I was trying to keep the stories short and sweet. So yeah, man. I get put up for transfer. I'm gonna go down to. I asked for Ironwood and Centinela. You know, I had already been a Centinela at the time. On C yard, the 270, level 4 270 there. You know, years later, when I finally was able to drop points, I asked for a level 3. That's gonna be my first level 3. I asked for Ironwood and Centinela. You know, at the time, A yard, B yard, and D yard in Centinela were level 3s. Ironwood, the whole prison was level 3. These yards hadn't flipped yet. There hadn't been no SNYs yet. At those prisons, SNY was relatively slim, if not rare. And so, yeah, man, to my surprise, when I get on the bus, I didn't even get an endorsement. You know, I got put up for transfer, but I never got endorsed. CSR never endorsed me, meaning they never came to my cell during mail call to put a slip in my cell door to tell me pretty much where I was going. You know, so when they call me to transpact, on a Friday, meaning Monday I'm gone. I mean, there's no transfers over the weekend. So when I get to the bus, that's basically, you know, my first opportunity to ask the CO, like, hey, man, where am I going? You know, a lot of cats were doing that. Evidently, they did that to a lot of us, you know, and dudes started asking, where am I going? Are you going here? Hey, where am I going? I'm going over here. So when I asked him, he's like, Pleasant Valley. I was like, Pleasant Valley? And off the top, I'm thinking like, hey, Pleasant Valley, shit. The last time I had heard about Pleasant Valley was when one of my homeboys, my homeboy Flacco, was in Pleasant Valley back in 2002, 2003, one of those 2 years when I was still basic in the county. And I was just like, damn, the only thing I can remember is that we were at war with the Bulldogs. But then we had heard over the years that passed that they had separated us from the Bulldogs and this and that. You know, a lot of things change. And so, honestly, I didn't know what to expect. Man. All I know is that I just came from a 23-month lockdown in Corcoran, going at it with the Norteños. And I'm thinking, like, you know what? Fuck it. You know, let's go over here, see what's going on. So, yeah, we get there. We're in R&R. They put a bunch of us in there. And, you know, when you go through the diagnostics, you know, you get your ID, fingerprints, all that stuff. They come get us, and they're like, hey, so-and-so, B yard, bravo, boom. Turn around, cuff up, you're on lockdown. I was like, damn. I went from one lockdown to the next lockdown. And the reason that right there, I actually want to kind of like a prelude to the story is because, man, I had been locked down for almost 2 years at that time. And I'm thinking everybody on the tier is happy for me because I'm going on level 3 for the first time. They're like, oh, man, I wish we could get there. You going to Disneyland, things like that. And my celly was like, yeah, that's right, bro. Go program, bro. Go program, do your thing. You know, try to stay out the way. And I was like, yeah, cool. And so for me to get to another lockdown, a worse situation, come to find out, it was pretty messed up. So sure enough, yeah, we get there, we're locked down. When I get to the building, turns out they've been locked down for about 14 months, you know, because, you know, the norteños and the okay, so the norteños and the sureños, which is what I was, ex-sureño, we were going at it with the Bulldogs, meaning we were rushing them, we were attacking them, we were the aggressors. They weren't rushing us, and they did that because the warden had pretty much dictated that whoever is the aggressor is going to stay on lockdown. And you know, the policies of the norteños and sureños being on site, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a loophole for them to stay off lockdown, the Bulldogs. You know, this is the first prison. Granted, I only been in one other prison with the Bulldogs, which is Reception in Wasco. They were rushing us there. We were on site to them. You know what I'm saying? So it surprised me that these cats were not rushing us. They weren't basically like, I don't know. To me, it was it was a little weak. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's just like on site is on site. And that's what I was used to. But anyways, they use that as a strategy to stay off lockdown. So basically what I mean is that, what I'm trying to say is that there was no end in sight for the lockdown. So I was like, damn. You know, and those of you that have heard my my riot story on the Bulldogs, when I finally did get, some months later, got my first unlock, whatever the case, you heard what happened with that when I caught that pegada. But anyways, on one of these times, I get to the hole, right? I get to the hole, and I'm gonna spare you the details. I don't want to make this video an hour long. I get to the hole, and I'm trying to remember the cop's name, bro. But it won't come to me. He was Raza. But for those of you that were there around that time in the early 2011, 2012, somewhere around that area, this dude was in the hole, you know. And you know, when you're in the hole at the time in Pleasant Valley, because of cops like that, he was COs. He was very vigilant, and you're gonna hear why I say that. But when we were trying to fish from one side to the others, like A, B, C, D pod to E, F, D, etc., H, all the other side, we couldn't fish like we used to do it in Centinela during dinner or during breakfast, because these dudes were on it. Like, they would look at the hallway or even sit there and wait, because they knew that was our window. So what we used to do was use codes. A for Alpha, B for Bravo, D for Delta, Z for Zulu. We used to use codes to communicate. So one side of the tier, on the tier on one side, we used to communicate to the last tier, and we used to communicate in codes. You know, kind of like a Enigma type program or codes. So the other side, you should have to sit there, write down the number, the letter, boom, 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 boom. Put that with the chart, the code that they had to break down what they said, you know, obviously, because the cops were listening, you know. And eventually, you know, the FBI, they actually, IGI, from what I heard, actually employed the services of the FBI so that they could go ahead and decipher whatever system we were using. And so eventually they knew exactly what the hell we were saying. But at the time, we didn't know that. So this and that, and it was necessary because of cops like this. So let me take you to the story. I was on the tier with the homie from Little Valley. You know, he had the pod, man. I mean, it was a cool youngster, man. He was younger than me. You know, when I got there, he had the pod. You know, he used to always ask me for my advice, you know, because, you know, obviously, you know, I came from years on the level 4s, already been to the shoe, all that. So he used to always ask me for advice, and I used to tell him, like, look, bro, yeah, I always ask questions, you know, just like I would. Even if I was in a position of power, even when I have the block and to hatch up your shoe, like to me, it's just like you always gotta ask questions, especially camaradas that at the time were older, that had been through this stuff already, and two heads are better than one, three are better than two, type of stuff. So so we were right there, man, one time, and we're fishing. And at the beginning of the pod, whoever has gallo or lookout, you know, it's the one that has to say llaves, caminando, whatnot. You know, meaning the cops are coming. They're walking, either regular walk through or whatnot. I was the one that was in charge. I was nearly at the end of the tier, but not close enough to where I had a clear shot to I think I was in C pod and I was fishing over the D pod. And that door that connects, it's an open door, right? It doesn't close or anything. It's just like a little doorway. So after lunchtime or before lunchtime, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, depending on the time of the day, depending on how urgent the wheelout was. The one time, if it was an ASAP, it was hot ASAP, you could get it there at any given time. But usually we would fish twice a day. So I was the one that used to have to get all the kites from C to D and so on and so forth. But there was this one cop, man. He was man, bro. He was too much. This is a type of cop that used to hold his keys. You know, if for those of you that don't know, the reason we used to say llaves when the cops used to walk the tier is because you could hear the keys coming, llaves, or you know whatnot. This dude, he was a type that used to hold on to his fucking keys. Whenever we used to go to the yard, to the cage yard, whatever cells were left open, because, you know, in the hole, for those of you that don't know, in the hole, when you go to yard, they leave the doors open until these dudes come back in. So what this cat used to do, he used to sneak into the pods, go into one of those empty cells, and just wait. He'll wait or eavesdrop. If we weren't fishing, he would just eavesdrop to see what we were saying. And if we were fishing, he would literally wait until one time, all right, halale, and he'll wait right until we were pulling, and that's what happened in one of these situations. I had about maybe 6, 7, 8. I had a bunch of kites, and you know, for those of you that ever done time anywhere significant, and I don't say that to think that I'm fucking superior to anybody, but what I mean by that is that every kite is considered hot, even if it's a love letter from one homie to another. I say love letter talking shit. It could be just a regular wheel asking for some coffee, things like that. You know, the hot kites is the ones that are responsibility. Those are the ones that you could get in trouble if you are not responsible in the transfer of that kite. So that certain night, man, I had a bunch of them. I was waiting. Doom. Dinner time. Throw out my line. Whistle. Homie crosses the line from the other pod. Boom. I had this method, and I'm pretty sure anybody that's done time probably figured this method. A lot of the camaradas used to use the cars, put a little staple on it, a little hook, whatever. Cool. I still used to do that, but I love the method of where you throw the line first, and then they throw the line over it, and all you have to do is pull back, and it literally pulls the cart pulls back, and automatically the line goes in. You pull it in. So on this certain night, we know we have paranoia. These fools has us on our toes, man. He has us on our toes. I'm not gonna lie. I give it to the dude in the sense where this dude was a fucking vulture. He was a vulture. He was vigilant. Man, bro, we didn't have one single time of peace fishing in that fucking pod. You know, but the homie trusted me with the mail, even though there was a camarada next door that had a closer vantage point. But he understood that I knew the consequences of these kites and the consequences if they fell into the wrong hands. So, so I throw on my line, boom, pull him in. And sure enough, this was a hip-on game. We tried everything from halale to, you know, whatever the case. So they wouldn't hear halale. This one knew all our get down. So that one day, it was that dude. I pull in the line, halale, boom, connects. He had wheelas coming on this side, and obviously I had wheelas going over there. But I was gonna pull his first, and then I was gonna send mines over there. So when we connect, he says, "Jálale," or whatever. I start pulling. The camarada all of a sudden says, "Corriendo." He didn't even say caminando, llaves. No, he said corriendo. Like literally, the fool is running towards you type shit. And I hear that, I'm like, fuck. So I'm pulling. And all I see is this dude pass myself. This motherfucker tries to put his foot on the line. But his momentum carried him off the line. And that allowed me to give it one last yank. Boom! I yanked it inside, ripped the line. He comes to myself. He's like, "Hey, give me those." I was like, "Fuck you." Grabbed it, nice and calm. I was a veteran at this point, bro. Like straight up. For those of you that done time like I have, you know, like not better than anybody. I ain't cool. I'm just saying, like, nerves of steel, bro. It's nothing. This dude, he can't open the door. You know, he ain't gonna come in with no backup. And if he opens the door, we're gonna fire on his ass. That's what it is, you know. You cannot be caught with a hot kite. Plain and simple. So I look at him, fuck you, grab the kites, go over there, grab the kites on the other side of the toilet that I was gonna send over there, put him in the toilet. Before I even flushed it, that fool said, boom, and he starts running to the other side to try to catch or scare the other dude. And let me give you another example of how this fool thought he could intimidate us. I remember one time, I was at the door talking to the homie from Little Valley. Talking to him, bam, 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 bam. My Sally in the back is like, "Hey, trucha." I was like, "What?" I look at him, and then I look at the window, because I was in the crack of the door, so I couldn't see outside the window. And we weren't doing nothing. We're just talking on the tier. The dude is looking at me. That same cop was looking at me. And I look at him like, "What's up?" And he's looking at me. I'm like, "Get out of here, dog." Anyways, homie, hey, I'll talk to you later, homeboy. You got this puerco over here, you know? You know, this dude made a living of trying to intimidate dudes. You know what I'm saying? And the fucked up part is some dudes used to get scared. Because this fool used to write fools up for fishing. This was around a time, guys. I don't know if you guys remember, for anybody that was in the system at the time, when the memo went out, where they were actually giving you more time for fishing because you were transporting kites that were detrimental or potentially could carry out a hit on somebody. Basically, they dictated violence, the kites. You know what I'm saying? So they were taking away good time, work time, whatever the fuck that's just called, the good time credits. And me, I had nothing to lose. I mean, they could have taken, I wasn't quite maxed out at the time, but I didn't give a fuck. So this fool was writing everybody up. And bullshit you not, guys, this dude didn't even write me up. He didn't even do nothing. That day, from what happened, he didn't write me up. He didn't do nothing. I don't know if it's because he respected the fact that I wasn't scared of him, or he went back there, looked at my C file, whatever. I don't know what it was. But the fact of the matter is, motherfucker wasn't going to intimidate me. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of homies were all fucking scared and shit. And rightfully so sometimes. Honestly, bro, rightfully so. This fool was on it, bro. He caught a lot of camaradas with kites, you know? And he would have probably caught me. You know what I'm saying? Because if his momentum wouldn't have taken him over the edge, he would have got all those kites that were coming to me. But gracias a Dios, at the time, it didn't happen. But yeah, that being said, man, you guys be good, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the story, man. There's more coming. Sorry, guys, I've been gonna wait for a little bit. Merry Christmas to you guys. Obviously, man, I'll probably do another video. Wish you the holidays again. God bless you and your family. Don't ever forget that one life saved is one life blessed. A smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. APA, I'm out.